In the heart of ancient Macedonia, in the year 356 BCE, a child was born who would reshape the world. This was Alexander, son of the formidable King Philip II. But Alexander wasn't just another prince destined for a throne. From a young age, it was clear he was different. His education was placed in the hands of none other than the great philosopher Aristotle. For years, Aristotle didn't just teach Alexander about philosophy, politics, and science. He instilled in him a profound curiosity about the world, a love for knowledge, and a vision that stretched far beyond the borders of his homeland. This unique upbringing, combining a king's training in warfare with a philosopher's deep thinking, forged a mind that was both brilliant and utterly ruthless. The world had no idea what was coming. At just 20 years old, Alexander's life was violently thrust onto a new path. His father, King Philip II, was assassinated, and the weight of the crown fell upon his young shoulders. Many saw a young, inexperienced ruler and thought it was their moment to strike. Rebellions erupted across Greece, testing the new king's resolve. But Alexander didn't waver. He responded with shocking speed and brutality. He didn't just quell the rebellions. He crushed them, making a grim example of the city of Thebes to show all of Greece that a new, powerful force was in charge. In this crucible of chaos, Alexander proved he wasn't just Philip's son. He was a leader in his own right, a commander who could inspire loyalty and fear in equal measure. With Greece firmly under his heel, he turned his gaze eastward towards his father's ultimate unfulfilled ambition, the mighty Persian Empire. The Persian Empire was the superpower of its day, a colossal entity stretching from Egypt to India, immensely wealthy and commanding vast armies. To challenge it seemed like madness, but for Alexander, it was destiny. Gathering his fiercely loyal Macedonian and Greek soldiers, he crossed into Asia, launching one of the most audacious military campaigns in history. The first major test came at the Battle of the Granicus River. The Persians were confident, but Alexander, leading from the front as always, charged headfirst into the enemy lines. His personal bravery was electrifying, inspiring his men to a decisive victory. This was just the beginning. The Persian king Darius III was now fully aware of the threat Alexander posed. He gathered a massive army to crush the young Macedonian invader at the Battle of Issus. Outnumbered, Alexander once again relied on brilliant strategy. He identified a weakness in the Persian line and executed a daring cavalry charge aimed directly at Darius himself. Seeing Alexander's forces bearing down on him, Darius panicked and fled the battlefield, leaving his army to collapse and even his own family to be captured. Alexander, however, treated Darius's family with respect, a calculated act of chivalry that enhanced his reputation. The message was clear. A new power had arrived, and it was led by a man who seemed unstoppable. After Issus, Alexander's path lay open. Instead of immediately pursuing Darius, he made a strategic move south, securing the entire Mediterranean coastline. The island city of Tyre resisted, believing its walls were impenetrable. Alexander's response was legendary. He ordered his engineers to build a massive causeway, a land bridge stretching across the sea to the city walls. After a brutal 7-month siege, Tyre fell. From there, he marched into Egypt. The Egyptians, who had long resented Persian rule, welcomed him not as a conqueror, but as a liberator. They crowned him pharaoh and declared him a son of the god Ammon. It was here, at the mouth of the Nile, that he founded a city that would become a legendary center of learning and culture for centuries, Alexandria. With Egypt secured and his legend growing, he was finally ready to face Darius one last time. The final showdown came at the Battle of Gaugamela. Darius had learned from his past defeats and chose a wide, flat plain to give his overwhelming numbers and scythed chariots the advantage. He had assembled an even larger army, drawn from all corners of his empire. On paper, Alexander's chances looked slim. But Alexander was a master of tactics. He arranged his army in an unusual formation, anticipating Darius's moves. As the battle raged, he once again spotted an opening and led his elite companion cavalry in a decisive, wedge-shaped charge that broke the Persian center and sent Darius fleeing for his life yet again. The battle was a complete tactical masterpiece. With this victory, the heart of the Persian Empire was broken. Alexander marched triumphantly into the legendary cities of Babylon and Persepolis, the latter of which he would later burn, a controversial act seen by some as revenge for the Persian invasion of Greece generations earlier. The Persian Empire was now his. But conquering land was only part of Alexander's vision. He wasn't just a warrior, he was a unifier. He dreamed of a new world, a blended or Hellenistic culture that would fuse the best of Greek and Eastern civilizations. This was a radical idea for the time. He began to adopt some Persian customs, even wearing Persian-style clothing, which didn't always sit well with his traditional Macedonian soldiers. He went further, organizing a mass wedding ceremony where he and 80 of his top officers married Persian noblewomen, encouraging his soldiers to do the same. He wanted to create a new ruling class, a mix of Greek and Persian, to govern his vast new empire. He recruited Persian soldiers into his army and promoted the sharing of knowledge, science, and art. His goal wasn't just to rule the world, but to connect it. With Persia conquered, Alexander's ambition knew no bounds. He believed the world ended somewhere in the east, and he was determined to reach it. He pushed his army through the rugged terrains of Central Asia, founding more cities named Alexandria and facing some of the toughest guerrilla warfare of his campaign. Finally, he crossed the Hindu Kush mountains and descended into the plains of India. Here, he faced a new and terrifying enemy, the army of King Porus, complete with hundreds of war elephants. At the Battle of the Hydaspes River, Alexander fought one of his most difficult and brilliant battles. He used cunning tactics to cross the rain-swollen river and ultimately defeated Porus. Impressed by his opponent's bravery, Alexander allowed Porus to continue ruling his kingdom as an ally. But India would be the turning point. After years of constant marching and brutal fighting, his army had reached its limit. They were thousands of miles from home, in a strange land, facing rumors of even larger armies and more elephants further east. When they reached the Hyphasis River, his men, loyal and battle-hardened as they were, finally refused to go any further. They were exhausted, homesick, and weary of their king's seemingly endless ambition. Alexander was furious. He pleaded, he threatened, he sulked in his tent for 3 days, but their minds were made up. For the first time, his will was denied. A dejected Alexander was forced to agree to turn back. The dream of reaching the end of the world was over. The long, perilous journey home had begun, a grueling trek through deserts that would cost the lives of thousands of his men. Alexander returned to Babylon, the new capital of his world-spanning empire. He was only 32 years old, but he had already achieved more than any person in history. He began making grand plans for the future, to explore the Arabian Peninsula, to further integrate his empire, and perhaps to even look west towards Carthage and Rome. But he would never get the chance. In 323 BCE, after attending a party, he fell gravely ill with a fever. For days he battled the illness, but his body, worn down by years of campaigning and several serious battle wounds, finally gave out. The great conqueror, the man who had never lost a battle, was dead. His sudden death left a massive power vacuum. He had no recognized heir, and when his generals asked him to whom he left his empire, he is said to have whispered, "To the strongest." What followed was decades of civil war as his generals, the Diadochi, tore his empire apart, carving out their own kingdoms. And yet, Alexander's legacy was secure. In just over a decade, he had created one of the largest empires of the ancient world. But more than that, he had spread Greek language, culture, and ideas across a vast area, kicking off the Hellenistic Age. His military tactics are still studied in military academies today. He remains a figure of fascination, a brilliant strategist, a fearless warrior, a visionary leader, and a man driven by an ambition so great it could never be contained. He was Alexander the Great, the conqueror who changed the world forever. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the past, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories from history.